Maryelen. Nice to see you today.
Oh, hi. Thank you for having me.
And obviously you and I have known each other for a long time now. I think probably about, how long? About 8, 10 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. So I'm just wondering, Maryelen, if you could give our parents some idea of what FASD is, and then we could maybe talk a little bit about Oshays.
Yes. FASD stands for Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorder. And when you break that down into, like, the fetal is obviously the baby. Alcohol is when a birth mum drinks alcohol during pregnancy, and it can be one drink. So we say that you can't have a drink at all. Spectrum, so obviously the spectrum is in a full spectrum, so you could be mild or you could be severe or in between. We've also got the disorder means that you're no as good as your peers at things, so that's why it comes up as a disorder. So that's what fetal alcohol spectrum disorder is. We do know that there's 1 in 20 people in the UK that's got this condition, and
Wow, that's a lot, isn't it?
definitely is, and that's like, it's basically worldwide. And I think the knowledge is not out there and the awareness is not there yet to like stop people from drinking. There's not enough awareness campaigns about for that to happen yet, and I just think we really need them, because a lot of people don't know they're pregnant, Fran, until they're at least 5 or 6 weeks pregnant. And if that was their usual drinking pattern that you had at the weekend or a holiday time where you go on holiday and you go out for meals and stuff and you have a drink, and then you're 6 weeks before you even eat it, and the damage could be done. And it's not about blaming, it's about educating. So
Do you think there's a bit of a myth, Maryellen, about people think that you have to, that either the parents are drunk or drinking a lot of alcohol, whereas it can just be one alcoholic drink and can actually impact?
Yeah, exactly. One alcoholic drink can impact it, and people do think it's alcoholic mothers. When you do mention that, they're like, "Oh, oh no," and people, because of the word, I think it's the words, the alcohol word, and the actual diagnosis that scares people. But yeah, it is. It's a myth that it's alcoholic mothers, and it's not.
Okay.
It's more like people that are affluent, like go out for lunches and have a wine. We had a lady that came into our clinic that I was part of doing an assessment, and she said that she didn't drink, and they were going to move on to the next question until her husband was like made a face, and then they went into the questions. And for her to say that she didn't really drink, when they looked into it, she had like 90 units in a week. And
Wow.
you're only, and she was like, but that was just a lunch break, and that was like my dinner time. And it was like, yeah, but they all add up. Like, yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about the stages and the affect of different stages of drinking alcohol during a pregnancy,
Yeah.
Maryellen?
Yeah, well, as soon as your eggs release to become pregnant, that is when the central nervous system starts developing in that fetus. And then it goes on. So the central nervous system is the brain, and there's if you drink in the very, very early stages, your kid's brain will be damaged. And then we go on to, say, day 19 to 21 is when the face is getting formed in the womb. And if you drink in that 3-day window, you'll have facial features. Now, there's only 10% of people got facial features because people don't feel like drinking, or they just don't feel right. But that's only week 3 of pregnancy. People don't know they're pregnant. So a lot of our kids miss it. So there's 90% of people don't have facial features. Then we go on to, well, every single day there's something else developing. So every day and if you drink on that day, it will affect that part of the brain, because the brain controls every part of your body.
Yeah.
It controls everything. So in the last trimester, when you're going to the end of your pregnancy, you feel your baby moving about. A lot of people are like, oh, I think I'll just have that drink because I've been dying for a drink, and you've stopped drinking, and they think it's all right because your kid's moving about. But that's when the connections are made. That's when the right side and the left side connect. And if you're drinking in the last trimester, they misfire and they don't connect.
Right.
So really, really important not to drink at all when you're pregnant, because we don't want these firing. And if they misfire, it means that their executive functioning, they have the executive function deficit. So, and that's your planning, organising, sequencing part of your brain that does that. But it isn't just a brain condition. As I said before, the brain does control every part of our being. So it controls our speech, it controls we're walking, we're talking, it controls everything. So it's not just a brain condition, it's a brain and body condition. We now know that there's 426 comorbidities that go along with FASD. So FASD doesn't normally get diagnosed on its own. It normally gets diagnosed with ADHD, opposition defiance disorder, but the behaviour is a symptom of the condition.
Okay, that makes sense. Wow, every time I speak to you, I always feel like I learned something new.
Yeah, I think I learn something new and then I pass it on.
Well, I'm glad you're around to pass it on. So can you tell us a little bit about Oshays and how that came into being and what you offer?
Yeah, we at Oshays decided that there wasn't an Oshays until the Scottish Government had gave like our region a set of money to learn about fetal alcohol, because nobody knew about it. And it was a midwife that took that on. I quickly became involved with her because I had kids with fetal alcohol, didn't know what it was, I didn't really know what I was doing. Like when you get a kid that's been diagnosed, you just Google, like what you do, you Google to find out information. And there wasn't a lot of information out there. So her and I got together and we ended up making a book. And then after the 3 years project had finished, they moved the project to like Edinburgh, which is quite a bit away. So, and I was like, so what about here? Like, we started this here, and they were like, I don't know, like, I don't know what you're going to do. So we're continuing on her work, but also my daughter was at college and she didn't get any supports at school, but the college were like, oh, we'll definitely give her the support she needs. We know about her condition. But when she went for our interview, they said that she needed to get into the interview on her own, and I was like, no, she needs me with her. No, we treat them like adults. Now, our kids with FASD are normally half their chronicle age. You'll probably find that is normally where they sit. And I was like, but I think she'll need me. And no, you're not coming in. So anyway, they interviewed her, and she didn't say, I need help. She didn't say, I would need help with this, or a scribe, or I can't retain information when I'm reading. So there was no help put in place for her. And she got asked to leave because they couldn't educate and they had no money to bring somebody in. So I was like, oh, never mind, we'll do this. She was doing childcare. And I was like, why don't we open up our own charity, and we can educate people on what FASD is, and you can, because you always wanted to work with kids, so you can work with the kids. And she was like, oh, that's a great idea. So we decided to set up Oshays, and the logo came quite easy to us because my son had made a book when he was in primary 8 after getting told he couldn't sit, walk or talk. His prognosis was very poor. He probably wasn't going to make it that long. And And he did all the walking and the talking, and he came home from school in primary 3 and said, Mum, I made a book. And I was like, you've made a book. So it was like a big, big thing. Every time he did something, it was matter of fact to him. It was like, what's the problem? So we were like, oh, you've made a book? And he's like, yeah, it's about an octopus called Oshays. He's been invited to Donny the Dolphin's birthday party, and he needed socks from his friends, and his friends at the time was Marty McFly, Bugs Bunny and Captain Hook. And he did have a great imagination, because we used to do social stories every night about Taylor, like kidding on the hedgehog and the caterpillar, and if they misbehaved, I used to put it into Taylor's social stories. So he was really good at imagining things. So this was his book, and the octopus was like in your face, like dead colourful, and that's why we got our logo for our business. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. So just to clarify for people that don't know you, Maryelen, you've got adopted children, haven't you?
Yes, I've got 6 children, 3 biological children who are adults. They're 38, 36 and 34. I have to keep reminding myself what ages they're. And then I've got 3 adopted children that I've adopted. I've had them all for babies from 3 different families. And my oldest is 28, 22, and the youngest is Taylor, and he's 14. So
you've done lots of fostering as well, haven't you?
Yeah, we've fostered loads of kids. We've had about 52 kids through our door. In fact, my son was saying to me the other day there, Mum, I think it's more than 52. And I was like, no, I think it's... And he's like, did you remember this one? Did you remember? I was like, yeah. But no, we keep...
Wow.
Yeah, we do. And they're really... They like to follow us and Facebook to see what we're up to, and we keep in touch with quite a lot of our kids.
So just what else do you provide at Oshays? I know that obviously you're Scotland based, but what can people connect with online? And also I want you to mention a little bit about the assessment report that you do.
Yeah, we do a mind mapping assessment where we can look at the 10 parts of the brain that may be affected with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder or any other brain-based condition like ADHD, autism, Tourette's, whatever it may be. If you think your child is different and you don't know how, we can look at the 10 parts of the brain that may be affected with. It could be the development, it could be trauma, it could be anything. So we look at these 10 parts of the brain and we empower parents to go to clinicians and sit with the words like executive functioning, adaptive behaviour, sensory processing. We give them the words and we give them the tools so that they're not getting fobbed off like they're fine, or you're just a helicopter parent, or you're not parenting them properly. Like if you are a helicopter parent and somebody tells you that you are that, you're doing the right job. Because we need to be like that. Our kids don't like no. No kid likes no. I don't like no. And you can what we're like when we get told no. We're like, seriously? Well, I think I'm going to be doing that then. So our kids are the same. So we don't say no in our house. We say maybe later. So we do the brain-based assessment, and we also, it's like a 10-page document on your child and what we find. Then we do with your child's strengths and things. So we don't need the child to do this assessment. We just need adults that know the child to do the assessment. We ask the child to fill in like draw their brain, tell me the things that their brain's good at and the things that they want their brain to do so that we can work on their strengths. And we put strategies in place for school, and you'll get a document for the school to say that your child's whatever parts of the brain that we've found that maybe they're struggling with, we can put all that into a programme for your teacher or for the school so that the things are getting put in place for your kid. So
yeah, brilliant. And What else do you offer online for some of our parents to connect with? I know that we're going to be doing some courses together, aren't we, to offer to our parents, but what else do you offer that maybe our parents might be able to tap into, Mary Ellen?
Yeah, we do obviously the Parenting to the Brain course with you guys, Fran, and we are and we get, it's like a 6 weeks course, and we get right in about what is like brain-based conditions. So we talk about that. Then we talk about the ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, and trauma. And the good thing is, when we're doing these, we get the parents to do the adverse childhood trauma, because they're like, oh, I thought it was for the kids. No, because if your fight, flight, freeze is up here, you're going to react quickly to your child that's already dysregulated. So we can bring it all together, which is really, really good. And we also do, we look at the brain, where, or the parts of the brain that we would look at in our assessment as well. So yeah, then we give you strategies. I think the Parent to the Brain course has been really successful. And yeah, I think also we're also doing an online, the 10 brain domains, where we'll be looking at each parts of the brain and we'll be digging deep into them. So it'll be another 5 weeks. That'll be a 5 weeks course where we'll do 2 brain domains each week, and we can answer questions. And if we don't know the answers, we'll find out. So we're going to be going into that in the new year. And that's really, really, it's insightful when you actually see all these things that your brain has to do. It's like, I mean, we think, go and run a bath. Do you know how many steps it is for our kids to go and run a bath? It is 20 steps. It's like, that's no easy. Go and brush your teeth. Do you know how long and how many steps that is to brush your teeth? It's no easy for our kids.
I think one of the things with fetal alcohol that sometimes parents find really difficult in that first learning and acceptance is that one day the child might be able to do something, and the next day, given the same instruction, they won't be able to complete the task. And I think then until you've got a full understanding of what's going on, sometimes it can look like the child is being willful or oppositional or difficult, you know, whereas actually they're just not capable of following through those instructions.
Yeah, that's certainly the case, and that's the days that their brains misfire and they just can't function well. I mean, sometimes where kids get up and they're like, oh, really, another day, like, our kids are always getting into trouble. They're always, they can't get it right. They get up in the morning, and this was a typical day in my house before I knew about FASD. So they would get up in the morning, give them a shout, and then they would come down the stairs, and I was like, have you washed your face? No. Oh my God, like, go and wash your face. Then they would come back down, have you brushed your teeth? No. Go and brush your teeth every day. And it felt like you were picking on them and they felt picked on. It was like, why should you be shouting at me? And I'm like, I'm not shouting at you, but, and once you learn about the brain, then that becomes easier, where I just look at her and she's like, oh no, I'm way back up. And she knows, or we put timers and phones, or we've got we've got visuals where you can show your kid how to do it and how many steps it is to do that. Then they come down the stairs and they've got the wrong clothes on or the wrong shoes for their school uniform. So you send them back up. Then they go out to the school. They just get in there and they're in trouble already before they even start the day. So they can't sit still in their seat, but they're very, very clever. So the teacher expects them to be able to sit there, and they want to move. Some of your kids need to move all the time to learn. That's the way their brain learns, like my wee boy. And teachers are like, can you not just sit there? And no, they can't. So then they're in trouble for that. Then they go out with their friends and they take a lenny of them because they're vulnerable and they're naive and they just want to be socially accepted. So their day doesn't go well. And then they might come in late and you're on at them again for coming in late, and they're not at their dinner, you're on at them for that. And it's all sensory issues for dinners and going out and wearing clothes. It's loads of things.
Yeah, it's very complex, isn't it?
It is.
So thank you today for that whistle stop tour, and I really appreciate your time, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise for our parents, Maryelen.
Oh, thank you for having me, Fran.